Hey everybody, I'm Tim Wallace from Tim Wallace Soil Mix Supply, and welcome to the Soil Channel.
Certainly, two of the most popular lawn renovation projects are lawn leveling and lawn overseeding. Now, sometimes they go hand in hand. In other words, you do them both pretty much at the same time. You don't necessarily have to, but sometimes you have no choice. As we're going to learn, because there's one critical component you have to take into consideration when you're doing any kind of a lawn leveling project. But in this particular video, we're going to concentrate more on the lawn leveling aspect of those two projects. If you need more information about lawn overseeding, be sure to check out this video here that we've done specifically about lawn overseeding. But we'll talk about how you can top dress your lawn to make sure that you do it right the first time.
Today I'm here with Soil Master Joe, and what's today's topic, Joe?
Today we're going to be talking about the two most popular lawn renovation projects, and that would be lawn leveling and overseeding. Now, Tim, you have a handful of different mixes when it comes to lawn renovation, but out of all those mixes, which would you say are the top three?
Three most popular ones are the top dressing, the lawn repair mix, and the overseeding mix.
So each one of these particular products has its own very unique, special, and let's put it this way, highest and best use. So in this video, we'll be looking not only at the products, but the procedures. However, before you begin, there is one critical component that you simply cannot ignore. You may need to fix it, you may address it, but you have to make sure that you take it into consideration. So in this video, we'll not only tell you what it is, but we'll tell you how to fix it. So we mentioned a little bit earlier your three most popular blends when it comes to lawn renovation, but let's talk about that highest and best use idea about all three. So tell us a little bit more about, let's start with top dressing.
So if you want to level your lawn so it's easier to walk on and easier to cut the grass, you want to use the top dressing. 50% fine sand, 50% topsoil blended together, and the purpose for that is it fills in the low spots, is easy to spread.
Can you overseed if you use top dressing?
Yes, if you're going to use top dressing to overseed, one suggestion would be is buy a bag of starter fertilizer.
Okay, got it. Great idea. Now, what about the lawn repair mix? I know there's a slight difference in the lawn repair mix compared to top dressing. Tell us a little bit about the lawn repair mix.
So lawn repair mix can also be used for leveling, but it's also made to fill in the bare spots. So the lawn repair mix is 50% topsoil, 25% purple cow compost, which we're all a big fan of, and 25% fine sand. And what the compost does, it makes a nice way for the seed to germinate and actually like organically fertilizes everything.
Yeah, and keep in mind that fertilizer that you've been using on your grass over the years is designed to feed the plants. Compost is now feeding your soil. So it's a great product if you're going to do an overall lawn renovation. And last but certainly not least, what about the overseeder mix?
The overseeder mix is used for when you already have a level lawn and you just want to overseed your lawn like it says. So
okay.
You would use the overseeder mix, which is 75% topsoil and 25% peat.
And as we're going to see, there's a big reason why that ratio is the way it is and how well that stuff really works. Since we're talking about lawn leveling and overseeding, you'll hear this term come up a lot, top dressing. It is both a noun and a verb. The noun part of it is the top dressing is the material you use to put on top of your lawn. The process of putting that material down is called top dressing. So you use top dressing mix to top dress your lawn. And generally when you're top dressing your lawn, you're trying to get it level. And if you want to, you can provide a media to plant grass seed. Tim just mentioned three products that he has for lawn leveling and or overseeding. One product though that he did not mention is something you can do to level your lawn. We sell a lot of this material to golf courses for fairways and for putting greens. And for those who have a nearly perfect lawn and they're trying to elevate it to that level of perfect, fine sand is what they would use. But if the lawn isn't that great, in other words, you have some thin spots, some low spots, some bare spots, and you want to improve it, then we go from the top dressing mix to something like the lawn repair mix. In that mix, at least the way Tim does it, he adds to the topsoil and the fine sand an organic compost. Remember that fertilizers feed your grass. In this situation, we're talking about lawns. Compost feeds your soil. So by adding the compost to the lawn repair mix, we're able to feed not only your grass, but also your soil. Step one in the lawn leveling process is to decide the end game, or what do you want to accomplish with this lawn renovation project? Are you looking to raise the grade, level bumpy spots, fill in ruts, level the area and overseed, or level and repair without damaging the existing grass? You get the idea. What end result do you have in mind? The reason for this is that each option I just mentioned uses a somewhat different approach, and sometimes more than one type of material is required. I know you've heard that old question, how do you eat an elephant? The answer, of course, is one bite at a time. Well, lawn leveling is the same thing. Again, before you dive in, decide the end game. What is your final result that you're looking to achieve from the hard work and effort you're about to put into this process? Because when you determine the end game, you can also decide how big of a bite you want to take. Maybe you do top dressing and leveling in the spring and then overseed in the fall. In that case, it's still one elephant, but 2 meals and 0 regrets. Up next is step number 2, measure the project area. Sure, length and width matter, but depth? Yes, that's because depth is the sneaky troublemaker. Depth is what decides what products you're going to need, how much material you'll haul in, and eventually how sore your back is going to be. Measure the area, measure the dips, and then measure again. A little math now saves a lot of sadness later. Let me tell you this right from the start. If you need to apply more than 2 inches of topsoil to bring your lawn up to the grade level you want, you can kiss any existing grass goodbye. That's because of these 3 things. First of all, turf grass needs light hitting the crown because really, that's the growing point. More than a half to an inch of something on top of your grass at one time will certainly block light and oxygen from reaching the plant. And last but certainly not least, 2 inches essentially buries the grass, causing rot and die-off. So when you need to add 2 inches or more of topsoil to level your lawn, you are essentially performing replacement rather than preservation. And replacement rather than preservation is what you're going to have to do if you're faced with one of these 3 things: leveling a badly uneven lawn, or filling in deep holes or ruts, regrading to improve or correct any drainage issues, or performing a full lawn renovation with reseeding or you're resodding afterwards. In any of these 3 cases, the existing grass is sacrificed, all intentionally. If your goal is to keep the existing grass alive, you are limited to a leveling product application of no more than 1/2, maybe 1 inch total. So again, step 2 is all about getting your measurements to determine the amount of material you're going to need for your project. If your area is relatively small, simply take out your tape measure and determine these 3 key things: length, width, and depth. Remember, length and width will determine your square footage. But when you include depth in your calculation, you're also now determining volume. And you're going to need the volume calculation in order for you to know how many cubic yards of material you're going to need for your lawn leveling project. If your project area is too large for a tape measure to be a practical way to determine your length and width, consider using your phone or your PC for that calculation. To find out just how to do that, check out these brief soil channel videos from Tim and I. Once you have your measurements, you can determine how much material you'll need simply by going to the Tim Wallace Soil Mix Supply website and find the product calculator. There you can simply plug in your numbers and it will tell you how much material your project requires. Remember, if yours is a 2-part project, for example, if you're raising the grade 2 inches with topsoil and then overseeding the area with a different product like Tim's Overseeder mix at 1/2 of an inch, you'll need to perform a separate calculation for each material. So before we move on to step number 3, let's be certain that we get step number 2 right. I mean, the last thing you're going to want to have is a bunch of material left over that you have no idea what you're going to do with. Or you underestimated and you need a lot more material, and now you're paying for a second or a third delivery. So measure the first time, measure again to be sure you get it right, and then make sure you get the amount of material you're going to need to get your lawn leveling project off to a great start. Step 3 in the process of lawn leveling is all about preparation. You know the saying, only 2 things in life are guaranteed, death and taxes. Well, let me submit to you that there might be a third, and that is skipping the preparation steps are guaranteed to ruin your project. Before you put the leveling product down, you're going to want to mow the grass. Mow low if you're applying your product in excess of 2 inches, as the grass will die out anyway. Keep it between a half to no more than 2 inches if you want to save the existing grass. So mow your lawn first, but at the right depth, especially if you don't want to choke out the existing grass. And this next step is critical. Get it out. Either rake or dethatch all that old dead grass that's separating the grass itself from the underlying soil. The reason your chemical fertilizers probably haven't been giving you the result that you've been looking for is the thatch is blocking the chemicals from working its way into the soil, or it's absorbing those chemicals and keeping it from getting down to the grass. You can see that even a small area like this develops an awful lot of thatch. Getting that thatch out prior to using your leveling product is going to help a lot in giving you the kind of result that you're really looking for. Improving the aeration in your lawn is a very, very helpful step. Now, I decided just to do spike aeration in this area since it wasn't very large. You can, however, use a core aerator machine. Makes the job go a lot faster, and it's certainly a lot easier. Aeration does a few great things for your lawn. First of all, it will help reduce that thatch problem you had. Although raking or using a dethatching machine is still one of the best ways to go, but by having these new penetrations into your soil, you'll allow air, water, and your lawn leveling product to work its way down into the soil. Now, because I spike aerated, I had no cores or plugs to deal with. Those plugs may look a little funny, but they'll deteriorate into your lawn just fine. If you're worried about them and they get in your way as you're trying to level your lawn, simply run the lawnmower over the area one more time. The vacuum action from the lawnmower will pull up these cores, break them up, and put them back down into the lawn. And it's going to be beneficial all around. If your lawn is pretty good as is, and all you're looking to do is take good to better, then leveling with no more than a half, maybe an inch of material usually doesn't require a lot of additional preparation. Simply spot treat any existing weeds and wait a few days for them to die back before you begin your leveling. But please keep in mind that anytime you lay down a fresh layer of fertile material on your lawn, it's still possible for some weeds to pop up along the way, along with your new or existing grass. Again, simply spot treat them with a weed killer specifically designed for use in the lawn. However, if your lawn is more like a weed bed than a golf course fairway, you can't count on your lawn leveling material to choke out and kill those existing weeds. You'll need to address those first and foremost, and this is where some advanced planning is required. Leveling your yard with soil alone won't fix a weedy lawn. In fact, it will actually help lock the problem in. The best approach when weeds are present is this: control the weeds, level your yard, overseed, and then maintain. In order to get it right the first time, that's the order that works. So when you have an issue with weeds, the first thing you need to do is decide how aggressive you want to be. And this all depends upon really how bad the weeds are. If your lawn is 50 to 60% weeds, but you still have some decent grass, you should be able to renovate without a full nuke of your yard. However, if it's 70% plus, you've got weeds, you've got crabgrass, dandelions, and clover nearly everywhere, it's usually smarter to start fresh in sections or just with the entire yard. So let's take a little bit closer look at this issue of dealing with weeds when we're talking about our lawn leveling project. If your weed problem is between 50 and 70% of your yard, begin by getting control of those weeds first. Usually that's done 2 to 3 weeks before you apply your leveling product. For that, a selective herbicide is fine. Use a broadleaf weed killer that's designed for turf grass, something like Ortho Weed Clear Lawn Weed Killer or Bio Advanced Lawn Weed Killer. Spot spray or blanket spray depending upon the weed density and the size of the area you're working with. Then be sure to wait the label recommended time before you reseed. Often that's usually between 2 and 4 weeks. These products will weaken or kill the weeds so they don't grow up through your new soil. However, if your lawn weed issue is really bad, beyond the 70-degree mark, a full lawn reset is in order. A lot of people refer to that as the nuclear option. Use a kill everything product with a non-selective herbicide, something that'll kill both weeds and the grass, something that contains glyphosate like Roundup weed and grass killer. Just be sure whatever you use, it's not an extended control version because that can inhibit your grass seed germination. Wait 7 to 10 days before you do anything else to be sure that anything that was growing in your yard is completely dead. Then scalp mow your yard, rake out and discard all this debris, and then you can proceed with leveling and overseeding. This will give you the cleanest, most professional looking result, but it certainly is far more work. One last quick word about any nuclear option ideas you might have. I've had customers come to me and say that they plan on getting their rototiller out, rototilling their entire yard and starting over from scratch. Well, let me tell you, that's a terrible idea. You're creating a lot more work and a lot of nightmares that are going to be very, very difficult to deal with. Rather than that, follow the steps we just outlined about using something to take care of those weeds, level your lawn with a good quality material, and then overseed like we're going to be talking about in just a minute. That's a much better approach to get it right the first time. If you prep right, your lawn leveling project will go very smoothly. Yeah, it may take you a little longer, but if you skip proper preparation, I guarantee you're going to be back sooner rather than later, wishing that you hadn't skipped that important step of proper preparation. The fourth step in a successful lawn leveling project is to correctly apply the correct product. Think of it as tough love for your turf. Your grass may complain today, but it's going to thank you tomorrow. As we said earlier, the issue of depth cannot be ignored. So before we discuss the correct application, let's take a moment to talk about what the correct product actually is. And that correct product all depends upon the depth of your project area. Fine or mason sand can be used for those who are looking for that putting green quality lawn. Just remember to apply no more than 1/2 of an inch of sand and be sure to work it into the turf so you don't choke out or damage the existing grass. At depths of 2 inches or less, you have several great lawn leveling product options. Certainly you can use straight topsoil, also known as black dirt. Just be certain that the dirt you're sourcing is screened, pulverized, and has been kept dry. A lot of people go with a more traditional top dressing mix, a blend of 50% topsoil and 50% fine sand. Another option is a top dressing blend that includes a compost component, something like Tim's Lawn Repair Mix, or a topsoil and peat blend like Tim's Lawn Overseeder Mix. When you're dealing with a nearly level lawn, that is, one that requires no more than 1, maybe 2 inches of material to address the bumpiness and low spots, simply apply and spread your top dressing of choice, working it into the turf as you go. Just keep in mind that leveling at depths of 2 inches or more will likely choke out and kill any existing grass in the area, so you'll also need to resod or overseed. When you need to raise your grade more than 2 inches but less than 10 inches, an additional step is required to ensure that the grade you end up with remains. The base material you're going to need at a depth between 2 and 10 inches is really just topsoil, screened, pulverized, kept dry black dirt. The additional step or steps you'll need depends upon your depth, because what you need to do is apply your topsoil in what we refer to as 2-inch lifts. In other words, put down 2 inches of topsoil, then compact it as best you can, possibly by walking on it using a hand tamper or a plate compactor. This additional step goes a long way in removing air pockets and void spaces in your topsoil that would otherwise cause your area to sink over time. Once you're within the final 1 to 2 inches or even less, then you can apply your preferred top dressing product as we just discussed and put down your sod or overseed. Although it's not real common, there are situations like maybe having a large tree or an in-ground swimming pool removed, or you've needed to dig a trench like you see here, and you end up with a depth that way exceeds 10 inches. First of all, 10 plus inches is way beyond a topsoil fill over grass situation. At that depth, there's really only one right way to do it right if you want it to last. First of all, the correct product here is not topsoil, but rather fill dirt. Fill dirt is a combination of sand, silt, clay, and loose rock with virtually no beneficial organic matter. Start by filling the bottom with fill dirt, and the correct way to apply the dirt is in 2 to 3 inch lifts at a time, being certain to compact each lift before adding the next. Once you're within about 4 inches of your level grade, finish the low area off with topsoil, again being certain to apply in a 2-inch lift at a time, compacting as you go. Please don't blow off the compaction step. If you do, you are certain to see that area of all your hard work quickly sink below the level grade you worked so hard to achieve. And don't forget to take drainage into consideration and crown or slope the area to ensure proper runoff as your situation demands. And now that your grade is properly level, you can apply a small layer of your preferred top dressing and lay your sod or overseed. When it comes time to spread your top dressing material, you have a few different weapons of choice. If the product is relatively light and fluffy like this topsoil we have here, you can just use a regular tine rake. You can either use the teeth side or the flat side. The problem with this rake is it's not very wide, so you're going to take a lot more passes, and you don't get the leveling that you kind of want consistently over a wide area. Lawn landscape rakes like this work very, very well, as you can see pulling it out of the back of the truck. But you can use the teeth or you can use the flat side. This one happens to be 24 inches across, but you can also get them at 32 inches across, and it makes your job go a lot faster. Although I think most people, when they think of lawn leveling, like to use lawn leveling rakes. Now, they are a little bit on the costly side, but they work very, very well. This is a lawn leveling rake. This wide surface right here, it's relatively heavy and allows you to push the material around, but as you do, it also allows you to get a nice even level grade throughout your area. So we're going to be using a combination of really all of these three as we move this dirt around to get ready for our overseeding.
When it comes to applying the product to the lawn, you have a few options. You can do like we did and mound the product across the lawn and then go ahead and spread it with your landscape rake. Sometimes it's simply just as easy to go ahead and broadcast it or throw it from the wheelbarrow out into the lawn. But regardless of how you get the product out into the lawn, make sure that you're not putting it down too heavy. You don't want to choke out the existing grass. And again, regardless of how you're putting it down, make sure you work the product well into the soil.
Step number 5, the matter of overseeding is optional in some lawn leveling situations. But when you've applied your material in excess of 2 inches, remember, optional becomes required. Overseeding is like ordering dessert. Technically optional, but come on, who's skipping dessert? A little fresh seed goes a long way toward thickening the turf and filling in those thin spots. It's the bonus round of lawn leveling. Really, the best time to overseed is immediately after you've corrected your grade and completed laying down your top dressing material. The soil is fresh, level, and loose. Just keep in mind the dual P's, which we're going to take a look at right now. If you're going to do step 5 and overseed your lawn, then step 6, what I like to refer to as the dual P's, applies to you. So I'm out here watering on day number 4. I'm not seeing any grass pop up just yet, but I'm not really surprised. And that's because I'm well aware of what I call the dual P's, and it's something you should be aware of also. The first of which is, of course, the P of persistence. Again, our first P when it comes to overseeding is persistence. That means doing the small things over and over, even when it feels boring. Grass seed doesn't care that you meant to water, it only cares that you actually showed up and did water. After overseeding, those seeds need consistent moisture to germinate. Not a flood, not a drought, just a steady drink. Light watering 1 or 2 times a day, keeping the soil damp but not muddy, is the best way to go. Miss a few days and the seeds can dry out and die. Like tiny dreams that had so much potential. And persistence doesn't stop at watering. Keep foot traffic off the area, keep pets away, and don't cut corners on mowing too soon. Do it right and the seed will reward you. Persistence really does pay off, literally 1 drop of water at a time. And the second P in our dual P's, as it has to do with lawn overseeding, and unfortunately, you're probably not going to want to hear this, but it's patience. The second P is, of course, patience. If grass had a personality, it would be a friend who always shows up, just never on time. Perennial ryegrass is the sprinter. You'll see that popping up in maybe 9 to 12 days. Fescue likes to take its time, 12 to 14 days. And Kentucky bluegrass, well, that's the slowpoke, 14 to 21 days before it even thinks about greeting you. So don't stare at the dirt and panic. Don't call the seed company. Don't assume it failed. It's underground doing what seeds do, quietly building roots before showing off on top. And once it sprouts, it still needs time to thicken, knit together, and fill in those weak spots. Overseeding isn't instant coffee. It's more like smoking ribs. Low and slow delivers the best results. So be patient, let nature do its thing. Remember, good grass is worth the wait. And finally, step 7. Maintain what you've done. The battle is over. The lawn is level. Maybe you've even overseeded and you have new grass seedlings popping up. But to win this war long term, keep mowing right, keep watering right, keep feeding the lawn and the soil. Remember, a great lawn isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. So whatever your lawn leveling project is, whether you're using straight topsoil, using just sand, top dressing, sand, and topsoil, or you're adding a compost component to your top dressing material, follow the steps as we've outlined it here in this video to make sure you do it right the first time. Hey, if you happen to have questions about soil for the lawn or the garden, send us that question in the comments section and Tim and I can get back to you with hopefully some of our expert advice. And again, we appreciate you watching, but before you go, hit that subscribe button to stay current with all of our future Soil Channel videos. So on behalf of Tim Wallace Soil Mix Supply, and the Soil Channel, I'm Joe. Thanks again for watching. Now grow and have a great day.